Thank you very, very much for that kind introduction. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your commitment to causes across Africa and your interest in the foreign policy of this nation. We look forward to working with you in the Africa Bureau in your new capacity as the chairman of the full committee. Mr. Chairman, I would also like to recognize Ranking Member Engel, as well as the other members of the committee who are here with you and us this morning. I am pleased to have a chance to testify before you on this very important topic. The evolving crisis in Mali is one of the most difficult, complex, and urgent problems West Africa has faced in the past 2 decades. Mali's problems reflect the fragility of governance in the region, the lack of economic development, especially in northern Mali, the absence of meaningful opportunities for people to engage with their governments, and the widespread desperation that exists in an unforgiving, arid region with chronic food insecurity. The March 2012 coup and subsequent loss of northern Mali to Islamic extremists demonstrates all too clearly how quickly terrorists can take advantage of fragile states. Poor governance, weak democratic institutions, and a lack of development and economic opportunity create fertile ground for terrorism and also political instability. As the Malian government, regional partners, and the international community continue to respond vigorously to the ongoing crisis in Mali, we must be mindful of the 4 underlying challenges Mali continues to face: the continued presence of al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, AQIM, in northern Mali, the restoration of democracy, which is essential, the need to begin negotiations with northern groups, especially the Tuareg, that renounce terrorism and recognize the unity of the Malian state, and a significant and ongoing humanitarian and development crisis across the northern part of that country. Failure to address these 4 challenges comprehensively and simultaneously risks perpetuating the cycle of violence and insecurity that has plagued northern Mali for decades and that has also threatened stability across the wider Sahel. First, the presence of extremists in northern Mali poses a threat to the entire Sahel region and beyond. The French are disrupting and dislodging terrorist enclaves and liberating northern towns and populations after more than a year of terrorist occupation. The United States strongly supports France's efforts and has actively engaged to assist France in Mali. As of February 13, we have conducted 22 refueling missions, which have provided about 867,000 pounds of jet fuel to French aircraft. The United States Air Force has also flown 43 C-17 sorties, moving French and Chadian personnel, supplies, and equipment into Mali and Niger. We have lifted 1,090 tons of equipment and supplies and over 830 passengers into the operational theater. We are also supporting the efforts of several African states who have contributed troops to AFISMA, the African-led international support mission to Mali. Subject to congressional notification, we intend to provide $96 million during fiscal year 2013 to support the AFISMA operation. This support includes training, equipment, and logistical assistance for the AFISMA troops. Although AFISMA is currently a African Regional Intervention Force, we believe a transition to a UN-authorized and a UN-led effort which brings to bear all the comparative advantages of a UN-integrated mission would be suitable under the right conditions to consolidate French gains on the ground. A transition to a UN peacekeeping force will take time, however, as French and AFISMA operations continue, and as the UN develops its plans in consultation with the Malian government and with its African partners. This is something that will take time, but it is important. However, Mali's problems cannot be solved by military means alone. The gains achieved by French and African forces on the battlefield in northern Mali will be short-lived if not accompanied by democratic elections, strengthened institutions, and national reconciliation. We welcome the Malian National Assembly's January 29 unanimous approval of a political roadmap and timetable to restore the country's democracy. Now the interim Malian government must implement the plan seriously and expeditiously, and elections must be conducted free from intimidation and interference by military and security forces. We continue to unequivocally state that coup leader Captain Sanogo and the rest of the military junta members must remove themselves completely and permanently from Malian politics. We have imposed targeted sanctions on some 87 individuals who were involved in the March coup, who supported its authors, or who continue to impede the restoration of democracy. Any continued interference in Mali's progress towards the restoration of democracy is unacceptable and risks the imposition of further sanctions from the United States, our partners, and international organizations. We also recognize that the indigenous populations of northern Mali, who have a history of resisting foreign Islamic extremists and who have welcomed the arrival of French forces, have legitimate political, social, and economic grievances. Stopping northern Mali's cycle of instability will require a serious and sustained effort by Malian authorities, non-extremist northern groups, regional actors, and international partners to address the legitimate political and economic needs of non-extremist northern groups from Timbuktu to Gao to Kidal. We are encouraging the Malian government to quickly establish the Commission for Negotiations as called for in Mali's political roadmap. We are also working closely with neighboring countries and the international community to lend support to the negotiating process. Any successful process must address the short-term need to restore Mali's territorial integrity, while at the same time laying the foundation for long-term open dialogue needed to address legitimate political and social grievances and to build trust between northern populations and their government. Lastly, the United States continues to work to mitigate the effects of the humanitarian crisis in Mali and the Sahel, which has resulted in chronic food insecurity in the region and has left more than 400,000 individuals homeless and displaced since the start of the fighting in Mali in March of last year. In fiscal year 2012 and to date in fiscal year 2013, the United States has provided more than $120 million in humanitarian assistance to address the emergency in Mali. This is part of more than $467 million in humanitarian assistance we have provided to the Sahel region in fiscal years 2012 and 2013. We must remember that any military success will be fleeting without a democratic and creditable government that is responsive to the needs of all Malians. We will continue to work to ensure that military success can be translated into long-term political stability by encouraging expedited elections, marginalizing the military junta, holding accountable all perpetrators of human rights abuses and violations, including those who were in the Malian army, and supporting a national reconciliation process that addresses the longstanding and legitimate grievances of northern populations, including those of the Tuareg. By continuing to address Mali's multiple challenges simultaneously and comprehensively, we aim to break the cycle of conflict in favor of a just, lasting, and prosperous peace for Mali and for the region. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I have a longer statement that has been submitted for the record, and I will be happy to take questions.